Hey kids, today we're going to be taking off the Nacelle and giving the Scout Bobber a whole new look. It's coming up, Fastlane. You know, I am one of those guys that pretty much gets bored with things. I want to see change, and when change isn't happening, I get bored. And when change isn't happening with my motorcycle, I essentially want to buy another one, which does not make my wife very happy. So with that being said, I am trying creative ways to, modify the bike and swap things out and change it up. And, when I first got the Scout Bobber, we didn't have an Indian dealer here in town. And so I was pretty unique, to tell you the truth. I was the only one kind of around. Maybe there's one other one. But man, there was nobody hardly around. And when I'd go to a bike night, I was it, dude. Now there's like 3 of them or 4 of them that are showing up. And I think that's super cool because I want people to enjoy the bike. But I also like the individuality of being unique. So that has kind of pushed me to want to make some changes to the bike. And that's what we're gonna be doing today. Basically, I'm gonna show you how to take the old Nacelle off here. You may not know this, there's a headlight bucket inside of here. So we're gonna take this Nacelle off and I'm gonna just rock pretty much the headlight bucket that's inside of there. Now you can get an actual headlight like goes on, like the bucket that actually goes on the regular Scout from Indian. It's about $100 for the relocation kit, and it's just the bucket. All this stuff will fit in the bucket, and it looks better than what I'm about to do. But until I get that, because it's out of stock right now, I'm gonna go ahead and just rock what is underneath here, and you'll see it in a minute. The other thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually get rid of this Eagle Eye headlight. Somebody gave it to me. It's very bright. It's not my favorite look. I don't like this LED look, to tell you the truth. To be totally honest, it's not my thing. I prefer more the retro stock looking headlight, personally. That's just me. And I'm kind of like, when it comes to the Bobber, it's kind of transforming. You know, when I first got it, I loved this Nacelle. I loved the look. I even liked the brown seat. But as things have changed, I've got the more sport seat. This is the Syndicate seat here. And it's more sporty. I've got the Combustion Industries Sissy bar on there. I put on the 10-inch Mini Apes. And I mean, things are just progressing. And I want to get rid of this Nacelle. Now, I'm not going to throw it away. I'm going to keep it on a shelf like I do with all my parts for my bike. I've got all kinds of parts. I got the original headlight. I've got the original seats. I've got the seat from the Scout 60. I've got the all-weather brown seat. I've got the stuff all sitting on a shelf, okay? I'm not getting rid of the stuff. I got the solo rack. I've got all kinds of stuff, okay? So I absolutely am not gonna get rid of this. I will keep it in case I wanna put it back on. I wanna sell the bike someday, whatever. But I want just that traditional headlight look on the bike. It gives it more of a chopper-esque look, I mean, I know we don't have extended forks or anything like that, but it just gives it a little more of that vibe, and that's pretty much what I'm going for. But before we get into all that, I need you to do a couple things for me. Would you do me a favor and like the video, hit the like button there, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when my next video is at, share it with your friends, and comment below. Helps these videos go all around the world, and I super appreciate it. All right, so to do this job, we're gonna need a couple tools, right? So let's go through what we need. First thing you're gonna need is the good old socket wrench with an Allen socket. That is a 6mm Allen socket there. And if you haven't gotten yourself a set of these, I say this every video, you need a set of these, okay? If you're working on your motorcycle, they're like literally like $4.99 over at Harbor Freight. They work perfectly. Get you a set of these hex sockets. You may want also a couple extenders. I'm not sure, I don't remember. But have yourself a couple extenders. Then you're gonna need an actual socket, which is 13mm. That's a 13mm socket. Because when we get under here, we're gonna need to take the headlight loose so we can get it out of there. And you're gonna need a Phillips screwdriver. Now, for some reason, the only one I could find today, because I think my boys have gotten into them and taken all my Phillips away and all of it got is flatheads, is got this super long one. So yeah, that's what I got. And of course, you're gonna need your headlight. I'm gonna swap out this LED one for the stock retro looking headlight. This is the original that came off the bike. The Eagle Eye one, like I said, is really, really bright, but I don't like that look. I like the retro look. So when I took the old one off, I saved it in the box of the Eagle Eye. So it's perfect, ready to go. The other thing you're gonna need is you're gonna need some towels, because when you're working on your bike, you don't want to hit something and mess it up, right? I've talked to you about this a million times. We got a fender here, we've got a tank here, and they're metal. And let me just give you an example here, okay? So you're wrenching away on, we're gonna be wrenching around in here. And you're wrenching away with your socket, boom, 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 boom. You hit your tank and you ding it, or you scratch it up, and now you're mad at yourself because you should have just put a towel on the tank. So we got a couple towels. And the last but not least is, once we get this off, anytime I take anything off of my motorcycle, it's a good opportunity to clean in areas that you never get to. So I just got some spray away window cleaner, works fine, and a microfiber cloth. We're gonna get in there, we're gonna clean stuff up a little bit. So let's get started. All right, first things first, we are going to cover the tank with a towel and cover the fender up with a towel. And we should probably grab this rag that I threw way back here because we're gonna need that. All right, so when I said old towels, I was not kidding, man. These towels, they're old. These are like car cleaning, car washing towels. They're perfect for this kind of a job. And just throw them over things so they're safe and so you don't beat anything up. And the other thing you need to be really careful about when you're working on your Scout, or any motorcycle for that matter, but definitely the Scout, is we gotta get in here, we gotta access these bolts that are behind here. There's only 3 on each side for the nacelle. Super easy to take off, dude. Really, really easy. But you're gonna have to turn your wheel. And when you do that, you wanna be careful that you don't walk it forward and accidentally walk it up off the kickstand. Because I was washing the bike once and I pulled it up to kind of clean the wheels in a different area. And I actually just about dumped the bike. And I had to pull it up with all my strength. And these bikes are like 540 pounds and they're not light. And to hold it up and not let it get damaged is a lot of work, and you could definitely hurt your bike and you could hurt yourself. So when you start to turn your wheel here, so we can get behind here, just be really, really careful and be aware and make sure it hasn't walked forward on that kickstand. All right, let's take these suckers off. All right, we're loose. Set these off to the side so you don't lose them. Let's go around to the other side. Now carefully, watch your kickstand, turn your bike back this way. All right, when you get to the end here and you're almost to the end of that last bolt, you definitely want to hold on to the nacelle, okay? So hold on to your nacelle so it doesn't come crashing down on your fender or hit the concrete or anything like that, okay? See, it's loose. And we just carefully take that last bolt out and voila, comes right off. Okay, here's what I want you to do. I want to make sure you put all your brackets back on with the bolts back onto the nacelle so we don't lose anything, okay? You don't have to really wrench them down, just snug them up, and so you don't lose any of this stuff, okay? All right, everything is hooked back on the nacelle. Make sure you set that off in a safe place. We're gonna actually do one more thing with this in a minute. So next thing you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna take your socket wrench, put on your 13mm socket, and we're gonna get under here, under the headlight, and release this one bolt. It's directly on the bottom. That's gonna help the whole headlight housing come loose. We're gonna be able to unplug it back in here. Take the screws out of the sides with the Phillips. Get this loose so we can take this rubber, kind of rubbery thing off of here. We don't want that on, that's gonna look weird, right? So we wanna get that out of there. And then we wanna be able to pop our new headlight in there and put it all back together. So let's take it apart. Quick tip. This is also how you adjust your headlight as far as directional. If your headlight's going to the right or the left too much, this little bolt under here is how you would adjust that. So even if you're not changing out everything and leaving it, taking off that nacelle and leaving it off, this is a good thing to know if you need to adjust your headlight. The other adjustments, as we get this off, hold on one second, are actually right here on the sides. So this little guy right here, you can adjust up or down. And one thing I never did with this headlight is I never adjusted it so it was down enough. So it always was shining like right in people's mirrors, and that always made me feel kind of bad, actually. You know, I didn't want to blind people. But here's the adjustment so you can not blind everyone. Undo this right here. Now, if you have the stock headlight, there's a couple other wires, and I've got them up in here and they're taped off right now. So these guys, actually on the stock headlight, these guys go back on. We'll take that black tape off of there, because with the Eagle Eye, you don't use it. Let's put our towel back. Let's go ahead and take our Phillips and let's take this thing apart. As you can see here, there's a Phillips screw on both sides. There's one here, and if you turn it around, there's one right there. Set those off to the side so you don't lose them. Okay, once those are loose, you can essentially pop this guy apart. See there? The headlight comes completely out. There is a little housing here that we've got to take the clips apart so we can put it back over the stock one, but it's essentially apart. Now what I like to do is basically give this stuff a clean, because it never gets cleaned where it's at. So we're gonna go ahead and clean this stuff, so when we put it all back together, it's all clean. Clean as a whistle. Next thing we gotta do is we gotta get these clips out of here. So we're actually gonna need something I forgot to tell you about, which is a flathead screwdriver to get those out of there. Got her. Good time to clean this as well. These things that never get cleaned, good time to clean them. So this is all clean. Let's get our original headlight, the stock headlight, and get it back in here and get it all clipped back in. There is a little indicator on the bottom of this that shows you right here with this little divot here where it actually lines up, okay? I forgot about this clip part, so I wasn't prepared about this, but I'm figuring it out as I go. Bear with me. So pay special attention when you take the clips out if you're changing out your headlight itself, okay? You may not be doing this whole headlight swap, but that's pretty much how they're supposed to look. So yeah, it's not as hard as you think, but pay special attention, because I fought with this thing because I literally couldn't remember. I should have taken a picture. I really recommend anytime you do a project like this, before you take anything apart on your motorcycle, take some photos, man. Put them on your phone. You can always look back. It takes just a second to do it. If you don't need them, you don't need them. But if you do, you got them. And if you don't have them, I literally spent like 30 minutes trying to get these clips back in, and I was putting them in backwards, not realizing, and then I finally figured it out. So, okay, now we can go ahead and put it back in the bucket because the bucket's all clean. So we're gonna get this put back together and put a couple screws back in it. All right, make sure your screw holes line up properly, and make sure all the writing's upright and your bolt area is on the bottom, okay? So now we're gonna get the screws back in this. Take your time so you don't cross thread them. All right, there's one. And there's our other one. Now, obviously, we're not putting the rubber gasket thing back in there because we want it to look normal without the nacelle on there. So let's get her all shined up. All right, the other thing we want to do is while we have all this off is we want to clean this up a little bit where the nacelle was. So we're going to clean that up a bit. Areas we don't normally get in to clean. Probably shouldn't have sprayed this. You know, you don't really want to spray electrical. Yeah, give it a little bit of a bath there where you never get to. It's always hidden. Looks nice. Pretty. Now on this retro headlight, if you're probably not doing all this because you're probably just taking the nacelle off, but you got to undo these so you can get these back on the regular headlight. Because when you use the Eagle Eye, you don't use these. Everything's in the one box. You don't need these extra ones for dimmers for whatever reason. So, can I remember which is which? I'm not sure. We'll figure it out here in a second. So this one rehooks here, obviously. And I think what we'll do is we'll just let that hang for a minute, I think. We'll just hook these up. One of them looks like black and one of them looks like pink. So I'm gonna do the black one to what I think is the black. And do this one to the colored one. And let's see what, let me go grab a key and let's see if that works. Now you're probably a lot smarter than me and you remember which one goes to what, but since I don't, I'm gonna use the key and turn on the lights, and they're obviously working. And there's that's the high beam. That's low, so yes, definitely working. All right, so I got it right. Okay, so let's get the bolt back on here. I can't see anything right now because I shine that bright light right in my face. Whew. There we go. Nah, she's working. So, you're gonna wanna make sure that everything looks straight. So, same thing, we're gonna straighten the bike out a little bit. Make sure this thing looks straight before we tighten her down. Not that you won't be able to access it, because now that the nacelle's not on there, it's not in your way anymore. But it's also gonna pull it a little bit that way when you go to tighten it. That looks pretty straight to me. We can find out later. So you're gonna kind of have a mess of wires here. And when you don't have the actual Scout headlight and you're using this bobber option, everything just kind of fits in this little bag, okay? So just kind of stuff back in this little baggie, best you can. Tighten that down. And what I'm gonna do on some of these white wires is I'm going to simply put a little black tape on them for now just to cover them up. And yeah, we're about done. So the good old-fashioned electrical tape. It's gonna take a few little pieces and just kind of cover up where there's black wire or white wire here. All right, we're pretty much done. Let's check it out. So that is essentially how you take the nacelle off your Indian Scout bobber and reinstall the headlight and make it look a little bit more chopper-esque. Like I said, I am going to end up with the actual headlight bucket, which is a much bigger bucket, and all these wires fit inside. But I'm also thinking about just getting like full on a handlebar bag that goes over this whole area and maybe not worrying about it. Comment below, let me know what you think, how this looks. I personally like it. I'm kind of excited about it, and gives the bike a little different look and a little different feel. Do me a favor, like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when my next video is. Tell your friends, and take off your nacelle and make your bike look cool. It's Fastlane.